Welcome to a candidate forum featuring candidates for Sacramento City Council District 4. I'm Paula Lee, a member of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County, and I'll be moderator for today's forum. This forum is co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Commission. The forum is being viewed live by an audience in the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors chambers and by a live cable television audience at home. It's also being taped for rebroadcast on Metro Cable Channel 14. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization of men and women established to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League does not support, oppose, or evaluate candidates or political parties. Although our nonpartisanship policy does not permit endorsement of political candidates, we do, after careful study, take positions on political issues like ballot propositions. The format for today's forum will be as follows. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes for an opening statement. Next, the candidates will respond to questions from our expert media panel. The questions were submitted by panelists and reviewed by League members. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. And then finally, candidates will have 1 minute for closing statements. Now I'd like to introduce the candidates who are running for District 4. Welcome, and thank you for agreeing to participate in today's forum. Joe Yee and Steve Hansen. Sitting on our expert media panel are questioners, Foon Rhee from the Sacramento Bee and Jared Goyette from the Sacramento Press. Thank you very much for participating in the panel. We're now ready to begin. We drew for speaking order, and we'll begin with opening statements from Joe Yee.
Thank you. And I'd like to begin by thanking the League of Women Voters for organizing this forum. I think it is a great public service to have this and have an opportunity to express our views and to answer the questions. Recently, I took a moment to reflect back on the beginning of my campaign to determine to see if the priorities I had envisioned for District 4 in the city were still valid. And after 11 months of talking to a number of people throughout the district, I find that they were valid then and are valid now. The first is for the city to strengthen its partnership with the business community, to focus city resources on the creation of responsible businesses and jobs. Second, to make financially responsible decisions so to restore police and fire protection, restore city services, and invest in the city's future. To make decisions based on thoughtful civil discussion and merit, and to have an inclusive decision-making process that is critical to achieving the balance that we have to preserve our quality of life. I have spent my public service career, some 18, 19 years, working towards livable cities, smart growth. I worked with others to make that happen. I have the background experience that is currently lacking in the council, and I think that experience will help lead the city, the council, to make the right decisions for all of us. Thank you.
And Steve Hansen.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Hansen. I'm running for Sacramento City Council because I believe Sacramento has a fundamental opportunity here to change for the better. We have let a lot of our jobs leave the city or disappear. We haven't fought for the kind of good economy that can sustain our essential services, police, fire, parks, help fund our schools. And I believe the City Hall needs to be more responsive. We need to rebuild from the ground up, whether it's our small businesses to power our economy, whether it's making sure our kids have opportunities. After serving for 4 years on the Downtown Partnership Board, I've seen too many opportunities pass us by to go to West Sacramento, to go to the suburbs. Serving on the CARES Clinic Board, I've seen how the least among us don't get necessary treatments, aren't being taken care of, and I think the city can play a role in giving everyone a brighter future. From building a playground in Alkali Flat to working at one of California's greatest technology companies, Genentech, where we're doing innovative research around cancer and serious diseases, I think Sacramento is an innovative city, and I'd like to empower the community to bring us the best years yet. So please work with me, please support, and let's build the kind of city that we know we can have. Thank you.
Thank you. And now for questions from our media panel. And we'll begin with you, Foon Rhee. If you could direct your first question to Steve Hansen.
Sure, thank you. So also on the November 6th ballot, city voters will be deciding on Measure U, which is the half-cent sales tax increase, which would raise about $28 million to help restore some basic city services. Do you support Measure U, and why or why not?
I do support Measure U. I had to think about it for a long time before I came to that position. I'm worried about our city's economy. We derive our main three sources of revenue are sales tax, property tax, and development fees. Our sales tax base has really left the city. By having one of the highest sales tax rates in the region, which Measure U would create by adding a half cent, I think that it will discourage people from making large purchases in the city, ultimately hurting us over the long term. Also, I think the council slightly overreached with a half cent for 6 years. I wish it had been a quarter cent for 4 years. The budget gap next year is $7.5 million, and this generates $28 million a year, which would put us at the height of sales tax revenue from 2007. We have to make sure we don't spend that revenue on ongoing costs. The extent possible, stabilize the city budget, restore services, and then pivot to use that money to invest in infrastructure, to invest in our kids, and to do things that really will give us a better opportunity over the long run.
Joe Yee.
Thank you. I do support Measure U, and I think it is the best choice we have among many difficult challenges, many difficult choices. The quarter cent over 4 years would have balanced the budget. I would have preferred that. But what we have before us is a half cent over 6 years. And that will restore the basic city services, that will help restore public safety, and it will help avoid the continued deficit that we have. We need to stabilize the economy, the city services, to make the city more attractive to businesses. I do recognize that it does increase the sales tax, and there are consequences to that. But the consequences of not stabilizing our budget, not balancing our budget, and not restoring core city services, public safety, I think is a more onerous situation.
And next question from Jared Goyette, Sacramento Press. Could you direct your question to Joe Yee?
Joe, downtown faces a pair of interrelated problems. On the one hand, there's a need to draw residents or to attract residents to help fill the condos and apartment buildings in downtown. There's also a need to encourage businesses, whether it be at the rail yards or the plaza. How do you balance those two needs? Where should the priority be? And how do you achieve it?
Well, I think in any urban setting, balance is the difficult challenge that we have before us. There is an interdependency between business, interrelationship between business and residential. Has always been my vision that we create a city where maybe it's not 24 hours, but perhaps 12 or 18 hours. Density brings a lot of benefits to the city, to an urban environment. It brings safety, it provides options for transit, and it is a challenge to balance those needs. Business is not just office. Business could be retail, it could be commercial, restaurants, and other entertainment venues. But the challenge is to strike that balance, and we need to have the discussion as to what we're specifically talking about, what type of housing, and the market situation, so that we make sure this makes business sense. Because for me, there are a few things I think that are more detrimental to a community than to have vacant, failed businesses. And so we must approach this carefully and thoughtfully.
Steve Hansen.
Having lived downtown for 5 years, I see both opportunity and challenges. We have to make progress on our homelessness situation. It deters a lot of people from coming to shop in the downtown and the midtown, and I think it makes people feel unsafe. We have to make progress there. Having served on the Downtown Partnership Board, I see also things like the Downtown Infrastructure Study, which identified about $30 million in work that needed to be done on our power system, our water sewer infrastructure, other things that would make it easier to remediate blight. Downtown Plaza used to generate millions of dollars in sales tax a year, and now, because of our over-reliance on state government jobs, Downtown Plaza is suffering a lot. And the new owner, JMA, I think has ideas about what they want to do, but they're going to work with the community. We need more people living in the downtown Midtown. According to the downtown retail study that happened, 80% of the economic activity in the downtown from a retail standpoint comes from within 3 miles. Adding houses is a must.
Foon, could you direct your next question to Joe Yee?
Sure, thank you. So let's talk about Midtown a little bit. It's become a regional nightlife destination, a lot of successes, but there are quite a few residents there who are concerned about some of the problems that brings with noise and late night partiers, etc. Do you think there are too many bars in Midtown, and what should the city be doing to lessen the impact on residents?
Well, after working in Midtown as a member of the Planning Commission for some 14 years, I do recognize that the city has always envisioned growth in a vital Midtown, and with that comes challenges to the residents that are around there. I have often observed that the businesses are there because those who preceded them, the neighborhoods, the homes, stabilize the area, allowing then businesses to come in and serve them. And as the businesses have succeeded, they've become more of a regional draw. It is, again, what I've spoken of just previously. It's a matter of balance. It's a matter of analyzing what the community needs. Perhaps we should have more neighborhood-serving businesses. It is a matter of self-regulation on the part of the restaurants and bars. And quite frankly, it takes the city to relook at the applications for bars and restaurants to make sure that we do not have an over-concentration, which tends to exacerbate an already challenging situation.
Steve Hansen?
There's no doubt that our Midtown restaurant, retail, and entertainment venues have been a great boon to the city during a very difficult time. But I go out to some of the places that are near what's been complained about, and I see behaviors that sometimes would make me as a resident justifiably upset. Loud noise at 11 p.m. with large crowds. I understand where the neighbors come from because I live nearby and I go to those places, and I think business owners need to understand their impact on the neighborhood. That being said, we also have this great jewel where the city should be the cultural, gastronomic, and arts hub of the region. We have to figure out how to let them coexist. Facilitating communication between the neighborhoods, the businesses, the Midtown Business Association, is something that I've taken to heart since day one. I give everybody my cell phone number, 448-3274, so that when a problem comes up, we can solve it right away and it doesn't fester. That's how I hope to address this.
And Jared, your next question for Steve Hansen.
This has to do with the budget. It's likely that next year the city will be facing another deficit. And I'd like to know that if you're elected to council, what will be your priorities, your budget priorities in trying to balance the budget? And to what degree do you think pension reform or reductions should be part of that conversation?
So according to the city manager's office, he's the CEO of our city, he's identified $7.5 million structural budget deficit next year. We, over the course of the last couple years, have made progress in closing that. Many of our labor folks have made concessions, and I know ongoing talks continue with those who haven't yet made concessions to try to resolve that. Many of these contracts are also up next year for renegotiation, reauthorization. It's a great opportunity to work with our employees to make sure that we're moving the city forward. I think my priority is the priority I've heard on the streets, which is that the city provide a safe environment. We can't be a successful city if we're not safe. B, we need to make sure that we're maintaining a basic quality of life in our parks and on our streets. those have to be the priority. And working with the city manager's office, I think that we'll be able to do that, regardless of whether Measure U passes. There's efficiencies we can find, there's negotiations to be had, and I think ultimately we can get through this in a way that actually makes our city stronger.
Joe Yee?
Thank you. I think pension reform is a must. All city staff, police, public safety, fire, must pay their fair share in pensions. That will go a long ways in trying to balance our budget. My priorities for the budget, though, public safety, I think, is number one. We need to restore our core city services, make sure the lawns are mowed in the park, that our swimming pools are open. Those are just a number of services that the city provides that for many of the people living in the city, there are no other alternatives but to have city services in parks and swimming pools and libraries. It is important to our quality of life to maintain those services, and it is important then to have pension reform, among other efficiencies, so that we can close the gap, we can address the deficit, and still then be able to provide what we expect as city services to maintain the quality of life that we expect and we should have.
And Funri, your question for Steve Hansen.
Sure. So there's another measure on the city ballot that a lot of residents of District 4 are interested in, and that is Measure T, the yard waste measure, which would allow the city to require everyone to use containers for their yard waste and limit the claw to November, December, January. Do you support it, and why or why not?
At this point, I don't think Measure U is going to fix the problems we have. District 4 is disproportionately impacted by large mature trees. I've seen people trying to fit branches into the containers by chopping them up into tiny pieces, and I just don't think it's going to work for everyone. I would like to look at a way, regardless of what happens, to make our solid waste department work better, work more efficiently. For instance, I think we could look at doing the claw once a month throughout the city. There are neighborhoods that don't have the trees that we have in Land Park, Curtis Park, East Sac, downtown. And I think we need to think more broadly about how to manage the cultural change of going from on the street green waste to containerized green waste with composting, really helping to move us through a continuum. But a lot of these trees are city trees. They're in the green strip between the sidewalk and the street. And I think we are very proud of those trees. So let's figure out how to work with everybody to make sure that there's a solution that's sustainable for the issue.
Joe Yee?
It is a difficult challenge in many parts of the city, given our green waste, the number of trees and leaves that we generate. In the central city in particular, there is always a challenge of having green waste on the streets, or quite frankly, containers on the street, and the conflict that it creates with parking demands. There's already a shortage of parking in the central city, and whether we have another can out there so that we have 3 or 4 cans, you have your solid waste, you recycle, and 1 or 2 containers for green waste. Either case, it does create a challenge to park. With respect to the measure, I support the retention of the system we have now. I think we need to improve it, to make it more predictable, to make it more efficient, to provide the services that we will expect with the claw. I believe that the containerized only system has many challenges, and especially, again, to the areas, the more mature areas of Sacramento, where green waste is a particular problem.
And Jared, your question first to Joe Yee.
Joe, you and Steve come from different backgrounds. We're aware from that. We're aware of that. I'm curious, though, as to where you see your vision of the city being different from your opponent, or what areas of policy there might be different between the two of you, and why voters should choose you.
That is a very challenging question, and I think pertinent question. The difference between us. I have a record of experience. I have a record of achievement. I have a record of working in the public domain. I have worked collaboratively with businesses, neighborhoods, groups, with individuals on some very challenging issues over the course of my public service career that spans about 18 years. I think that is important to note. We need proven leadership as we move forward. There are challenges ahead, and I believe that my record would support my candidacy.
And Steve Hansen?
I come at this very differently than many people have. As a kid who grew up on welfare, who thought I grew up to push shopping carts, one of the people first in my family to go to college, I come at this with the idea that this is about community service. And I take my community service very seriously. It's part of the reason why I decided that we've cut so much. We've fired cops, fired firefighters. We can't even keep our parks clean. Why hasn't the council led by example? I decided to donate my council salary to start an innovation fund. These were unpaid jobs 10 years ago. And I feel very strongly that the council has not led in the way that we expect. And I would like to set a good example for that. Also, I really like Joe. Joe's a great public servant, but he's been part of City Hall for almost 20 years. I think we need to change City Hall to make it more accountable and more accessible. If we're going to rebuild the city's economy, we can't do things the same way we've always done them. Having served on community boards, worked to build a playground in my neighborhood, I see this opportunity as one to diversify our city's economy, move away from just government, move away from just construction, and build the tech companies, build the arts community that we need to power our future.
And next question, Foon Rhee for Steve Hansen.
Sure. Let's return to jobs and economic development for a minute. With the Comcast and Campbell Soup announcements, there's a lot of concern in the city, obviously, about where the economy is headed. What 2 or 3 specific things should the city be doing to improve the business climate here?
Many people know I put out a plan last Monday. I feel like Sacramento got punched a few times. We didn't get knocked out, we're not knocked down. I think first we need to create a rapid response team when there's a major layoff. It's cross-functional between city, county, state, and the private sector. Go out, get those workers signed up for unemployment benefits, into worker retraining programs, but create a job matching bank so that we can take advantage of the publicity around a layoff to match laid off workers up with potentially open jobs. Second, I think we need a crisis line so businesses in need can get right to the city manager or the council office immediately. Basically the same ideas we've done in the social service area. When people are in crisis, we give them a line to help so that they don't feel alone. And third, I think we need to create an innovation fund for our city, which is what my salary will do, be the seed money, hopefully to have $500,000 a year or more. I'd like to see it expand citywide so that we can invest in the future. We need a plan. We need leaders who are going to fight for our city. I'm tired of seeing jobs go, and I truly want to see us rebuild from the ground up.
Okay, next, Joe Yee.
Thank you. I think the city needs to do a couple of things. One, it needs to conduct more outreach to the businesses that we have to identify their needs and support their responsible businesses and allow them to grow and create jobs. The city could provide a lot of assistance, provide an ombudsman to help businesses navigate through the regulations that the city has. I also believe that we should leverage and work with those nonprofits and that are already working on many of the issues that were talked about. Sacramento Works provides an encompassing, overarching assistance to to laid off people to help them transition to the next job, find assistance. That system, that support system exists, and we should engage that system, help them identify people and direct people to their services. Next, the Next Economy is an organization that has already achieved regional cooperation, and we should leverage that, and we should adjust and work with that group so that we can get a running start on finding businesses and not start something new that we will not know what the end result is. This is a regional issue that we need regional cooperation.
Thank you. Well, we've run out of time so quickly for our questions from our panelists. But on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Commission, I thank the candidates, Joe Yee and Steve Hansen, and our panelists, Foon Rhee and Jared Goyette, for participating in today's forum. And I'd also like to thank all the volunteers from Metro Cable and the League that made this forum possible. The forum will be rebroadcast on Metro Cable 14, and you can find those rebroadcast times by visiting the League of Women Voters Smart Voter website. That's www.smartvoter.org. You can also find more about the League of Women Voters on the League of Women Voters Sacramento County website, which is lwvsacramento.org. The League welcomes both men and women as members, and it's where hands-on work to safeguard democracy leads to civic improvement. Thank you. Okay, and now it's time for our closing statements, and we'll hear first from Joe Yee.
Thank you, and again, thanks to the League of Women Voters for organizing this forum. To achieve the goals I outlined earlier, business growth, job creation, financial responsibility, public safety reinvestment in Sacramento in the future, thoughtful, inclusive decision-making process, that all takes experience. As the economy of Sacramento and the region recovers, we'll be challenged to move quickly. But we still need to make the right decisions for District 4 and the city. That takes experience. And my experience has proven over and over again that we must reach out, work with the neighborhoods, organizations, and individuals in District 4 and in the city to make the right decisions, because we need to listen and work together to achieve that. This is a time for tested, thoughtful leadership, and I ask for your support and your vote. Thank you.
And a closing statement from Steve Hansen.
Thank you to all of you out there who've watched today so thoughtfully. I hope to earn your vote. You've heard my passion. You've heard my vision. I hope you've heard my plan. I have a different kind of experience that doesn't revolve around City Hall, but rather working in the community, working in our neighborhoods, and working to build a better city. We have to worry about our future, and I am committed to putting in the time, energy, and making sure that not only do we work hard, but we rebuild the opportunities and create the city that our grandparents, our forefathers and mothers helped to give us, that has not been well stewarded by the current council or by City Hall. I think we need change, and we need a city that doesn't take anything for granted. Hopefully you'll work with me, you'll vote for me, and we together can lead the city into a brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters, good night.